Hello and welcome into the Hog Hoops Report. I am Hayden Herrera, joined alongside Kevin McPherson. Kevin, great to see you again on this Sunday. Once again, we're getting closer and closer to March. Can you believe it? Arkansas just wrapped up their final Saturday home game, a 94-86 win over Missouri. Hogs are now 20-7 overall, 10-4 in conference play. Kevin, they scored 94 points against a Mizzou team that usually only gives up around the 70s in SEC play. Close game at times, but Arkansas able to win by 8. What did you make of that effort by John Calipari's squad?
Well, I thought it was all hands on deck. Arkansas left a lot on the floor a few days earlier on that marathon in Tuscaloosa. And I think anytime your roster's depleted, you're shorthanded, guys are hobbled. Darius Acuff, apparently all he does is wear a boot and then go out and kick and then kick when he's on the court. And coming off that 49-point brilliant performance against the Tide, there were a lot of reasons to think Arkansas could, backslide. Calipari even said it in the post-game presser. He said, "Look, this one would have been on me. I would have had my team's back had they had a letdown and lost this game." And what impressed me wasn't just all hands on deck. You're really down to a 7 rotation now. But the fact that this week, when you add up the Alabama game and the Missouri game, and you mentioned Alabama likes to get up and down and run. A top 5 ranked offense, Arkansas the same. Missouri plays at a slower pace and better defensively. But you're talking about 2 NCAA tournament quality teams in back-to-back games spanning a few days shorthanded. And Arkansas, continues to shine offensively, didn't slow down one bit. And made enough defensive plays in this game to win it. But I think this is also NCAA tournament quality competition right now. Arkansas in this back stretch, including what's upcoming, is playing the better part of the SEC coming down the stretch. And I think it's only going to help Arkansas figure out ways to be better than the other team in the nuanced parts of the game when they're close games. And Missouri gave as good as it got most of the game yesterday. That was a tough battle. Arkansas stretches it out to a 14-point advantage on a Malik Euan dunk. Forgettable game down in Tuscaloosa. Then he shows up big yesterday. Arkansas goes up 14, 91-77 with 2 minutes to go to effectively seal that win. But up to that point, it had been back and forth, nip and tuck. Arkansas didn't relinquish the lead in the second half, which also says a lot about a team that can make a ton of excuses for being fatigued, banged up. Certain guys, Billy Richmond, we know, also taking some hits. Isaiah Sealy coming back from injury, wasn't available midweek, didn't play Saturday, but I was very impressed with Arkansas in both games, given all the circumstances.
Oh, absolutely. That game in Tuscaloosa, Arkansas fans will be talking about that one forever, even though it ultimately didn't end up in a loss due to just the incredible performance from Darius Acuff Jr. And I think, the law of averages says he wasn't going to have a 49-point game back-to-back. So a 20-point game, though, still. 11 of those points coming from free throws. 5 assists, 1 steal, if I'm looking at that correctly. Just overall, it looks like 9 draw-on fouls, if I'm reading that correctly. Yeah. What did you make of his game on Saturday?
Well, let's not forget, prior to the 49 at Alabama, he'd established his career high the game before that, a week ago Saturday, in a win over a good Auburn team, where he had career highs in 3-point makes, 7 attempts, 10, and a 31-point game. So 31 plus 49 is 80 points. He was averaging, if that's correct math, he was averaging 40 points per game in this last 2 coming into yesterday. So, yeah, it was going to be impossible given the fact that he's also injured and has expended a lot of energy to do that. But you brought up the free throw shooting. Go back to the Alabama game. He was 11 of 12. He is starting because he is the best player in the conference and arguably on a pace for first-team All-American. Let's forget SEC Player of the Year, Freshman of the Year, Newcomer of the Year. I think all of those should be shoo-ins. If they're not, there should be an investigation and people get handcuffed, fingerprinted, and put behind bars. But he's on a pace for first or second team All-American. And what happens is once you begin to establish such a high level of production on that offensive end, at some point they better start calling whistles and respect you. And I think we're starting to see that with Darius Acuff. He drives the ball a lot. This flurry of threes lately, it doesn't really define him as much as his mid-range and get to the basket game. He has some games where he's scoring 20-plus points, and most of them are layups and paint and getting paint touches. So it was about time that the whistle started to respect that. But 20 points, you mentioned it, 11 of 13 at the foul line, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. He had 5 assists and 5 rebounds against Bama. So it's not just the scoring, it's the facilitating, the other stuff, keeping his turnovers low. You mentioned he also had a steal yesterday, but I thought Darius Acuff, on a night where he's not quite himself, the standard and the statistical look at it is as good as it gets, not only in the SEC but around the league. When you're looking at a lead guard, you're going, wow, this guy continues to produce. And then we got to talk Billy Richmond. We got to talk the GOAT, man.
Oh, yeah.
Please set me up, Double H.
Yeah, I mean, 21
squared.
points.
Set me up on BR3. Bring it.
21 points, 9 of 14 field goals. But a lot of times, we talk beyond the box, the things that the box score can't show. And the box score, can't show effort. We just see the effort time and time again from Billy. He's really hitting his stride at a time where the Hogs need him.
Yeah, and he was a 3-level scorer yesterday. He has not been hitting threes. He was 2 of 3 from 3 yesterday. Some of those big, again, this was a back and forth kind of game where Arkansas maintained small margin leads, and he just keeps stepping up. We know he can slash to the basket and finish powerfully at the rim with explosiveness. We know he's going to get his share of layups, driving in and contorting. Some of those, so he's one of the toughest bucket makers I've seen, the way he contorts his body, twists, and gets the ball up on the glass, that lefty finish. But now you're seeing more and more of his mid-range pull-up game. And yesterday we saw those threes. And so 21 points. This guy's got 3 consecutive games now with 20 or more points. Who saw that coming? He's in double-figure scoring average on the season now after establishing a career-high 3 games ago against Auburn with 25 points. You look at the field goal percentage, it's insane. Again, a lot of that work getting to the rim, but he's steady now, knocking down the middies. And again, let's see if he can continue to build on the 3-point game. And then he's also doing other things. He had 3 steals and 2 blocks. Usually those are 2 stat areas where he and Trevan Brazil really start racking up those stocks, combination of steals and blocks. Not so much from TB in those areas yesterday. He did have 1 block, but Billy Richmond, again, 3 steals, 2 blocks, 4 assists. So he's a good facilitator. He's top 3, I think, for the Razorbacks in facilitating this season. He just does a little bit of everything, and now you're seeing that scoring punch. But his energy on defense, we know that he can be a versatile defender and really impact the game on that end of it, and then be a spark in transition and give you a little get into the basket. Now all of a sudden he's giving you a lot of scoring production, and Arkansas needs all hands on deck. But Billy Richmond right now is playing at an all-league level, and we'll see if he's able to maintain this. But as long as he does, even shorthanded, and even though Arkansas lacks some things, not great defensively overall, interior defense, those kinds of things are problematic. But if Billy Richmond can sure make you a whole lot better, because he was already doing that, and now with that scoring production, it makes it even exponentially a positive for the Razorbacks.
Absolutely. You mentioned him earlier, Trevan Brazil, 2 of 7 from 3. It looked like just one of those days where you're struggling from beyond the arc. You were there at the game. What were you seeing out of TB?
Well, he was 1 of 9 combined in the previous 2 games. And at one point, after he hit a couple of threes, he was 2 of 4. So he was thawing out a little bit, and then he took 3 more. I think a couple of those were the right shots. Maybe one of them, he rushed it because he was feeling it. But at least he got up off the mat. I mean, 2 of 7 is better percentage-wise than the 1 of 9 before that. So I'm okay with it. He also got a late bucket. He hit all 4 of his free throws. And you look at him, he led the team with 6 assists. If you look up at Brazil and you're like, well, he's always kind of around 10, 11, 12, 13 points. He's averaging close to 13 on the season. He has those big step-out games where he does a lot more because he's capable of it. But if you look down the stat line, he's typically Arkansas's leading rebounder. He is on the season. And even though that wasn't the case yesterday, he got 5 boards, 6 assists. He got a block shot. So Trevan Brazil, I have said it all year. I think he's playing at an all league level. You've got so many teams. You got Florida in first place, three-way tie for second place with Arkansas, Alabama, Tennessee. You got a bunch of other teams not far behind at 9-5 or 8-6. So the league's going to hand out all league, give out all league honors and try to make it equitable as much as they can. You only have 15 spots. So I don't know if TB, when the dust settles, is going to be left out. He may need one or two at least big games against this tough finishing schedule, 4 games to go, to secure something like that. But I think in this game he was important. He was Arkansas's best frontline performer against Bama, even though it wasn't a great game for him overall. He's just consistently good, not consistently great. And I think for Arkansas, again, to make a deep run, he's either going to be consistently really good with a Malik Euan really stepping up consistently, or TB's going to have to be great. And my bet's on the first thing I said, consistently good or really good, and he's going to need help on that front line if Arkansas is going to be able to use that to go deep, because TB's not a traditional big. He's not a banger, not a space hitter. He's not moving bodies around. He gets moved around. He's not a post player. So Arkansas, Calipari said it before the season started. He said, you're a fraud if you don't have a low post game. When Malik Euan, who we need to probably talk about next, is on, Arkansas has a semblance of a post game.
Yeah, 16 points, 2 blocks for Malik Euan after 8 rebounds after a game, like you said earlier, a game to forget in Tuscaloosa. It really seemed like somebody, that wanted to just put that away, continue on like it never happened, and he gives one of his top performances so far this season.
Yeah, when he got into the game again, he looked a little slow-footed, a little lost initially. Yeah. And once he gets mad, sometimes it just looks like, okay, now I'm agitated. I'm going to do something. He needs to be agitated and locked in. Early in the year, Calipari showed him tape of himself at Florida State to motivate him. And the next game, he came out and performed.
Yeah,
you shouldn't have to show a fourth-year guy who's in his fourth stop his own game tape from the past and some of his top performances to motivate him. He should be locked in every game. That's the frustrating part. He can be soft. But, man, once he turned it on yesterday, he was effective. Got to the rim, had a tip-in dunk, had a dunk that gave Arkansas its biggest lead late, had some nice finishes, and one getting to the basket, getting the ball off the backboard, battled for rebounds, a game-high matching 8 rebounds, and had that block. And, I mean, this is the version of Malik Euan that Arkansas thought it was getting. And if he can just somehow be more consistent, you're so deep into the season now, getting ready for March Madness. You feel like players at this point have defined themselves. If you're an Arkansas fan, you're praying that this guy has not defined himself yet as as 2 games off, 1 game on kind of a guy. He needs to be game ready every single game. Arkansas is going to need it. And it seems like there are times where you look at him, you go, you know what? He can play with and deal with some physicality. But it seems like he really doesn't like it because he has too many long stretches where he's, kind of, like a balloon. You just touch him, a little poke with your finger, and you can move him anywhere. He needs to lock in. And I know I'm repeating myself here, but Arkansas needs that version yesterday moving forward. Not to say he's going to be that good every game, but he needs to be efforting that way like he did for the most part yesterday.
Missouri had, a couple of 20-plus point performances. Trent Pierce, 22 points. Mark Mitchell, 26 points. This is a team they're going to have to play in a few March 7th back in Columbia. I mean, the matchup against Mitchell, I mean, is there anything they can change up there?
Well, they did in the second half, and I saw some defensive possessions with Billy Richmond on him, outsized, outweighed, and held his own. But they put Mitchell in a point forward kind of role, and they let him start out high, work his way to the horns, free throw line extended, and then he was making reads right when he got to that free throw line. He was either passing over a smaller defender to another big. That was a huge lineup that Missouri runs out there for for lay-ins and dunks, or he was taking it on his own and getting deep into the paint and then fading on a pull-up or getting all the way to the rim. He's got a steal to open the game and go in for a dunk to put Missouri ahead 2-0. He was fantastic, 26 points 8 assists. You saw Trent Pierce, a 6'10 wing, getting it from all three levels, 22 points. The one Razorback we haven't talked about, we could talk about all of them and what they were able to accomplish yesterday, but we need to spend some time, at least a little bit here, Double H, on Malik Thomas. I think he's gone under the radar because of how great Acuff has been. Malik Thomas has been playing some consistent, really good basketball. And you look at the performance yesterday, was another one.
Yeah, nearly a double-double, 14 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, nearly about 37 minutes of playing time. He was so, the look on his face when he fouled out in Tuscaloosa, he couldn't believe it. But again, another guy that's been consistent, yeah. And so I think, with all of the national attention that Darius Acuff gets, maybe could you say that maybe in a way helps Malik, not as much pressure on him?
Maybe, but he has performed. He's got multiple 20-plus point games in SEC play, and efficient ones for the most part. What was he, 6 of 8 from 3 against Alabama, 24 points in the midweek game. And, he had 8 points and 10 rebounds, led the team's career high in that win over Auburn. And Acuff had 31, a career high at that point. So sometimes it gets lost, but he had a game high matching 8 rebounds yesterday. You mentioned that, close to a double-double. But what I like about him, that 14-point performance, he was efficient. He was efficient and made his free throws. His shot diet is getting better. Now, you could look at a couple of those shots. One of them in the first half that was Arkansas was kind of slow in the mud early offensively, and he forced a shot. But he made a twirling shot that I'm sure Calipari, was one of those no, yes deals in a personal 5-0 run. Then he hits a catch and shoot 3. That 5-0 run gave Arkansas its first double-digit lead yesterday against Missouri. It went up to 83-73 as you're, getting close to the finish there. So he had a big game with numbers that don't maybe measure up to other guys you're saying had big games. But if you look at it in totality, this dude is putting in more than just that elite scoring, which he can do, and efficient scoring. I really like Malik Thomas as not only all freshman team in the SEC. We'll see how this finishes out. He's another guy that you could make a case for, even though he's in the starting lineup now. I guess that would probably eliminate him. I think that when this does settles, he'll have played more games off the bench than maybe in the starting lineup. I'm not 100% sure about that, but maybe in a conversation for 6th man of the year. Same with Billy Richmond as a potential for that kind of recognition. But Malik Thomas, to me, has been outstanding, and it gets lost because of this otherworldly Darius Acuff Jr. guy, that sometimes some of these things he's doing, it feels alien, and so Malik Thomas can get lost in the shuffle. He has been exceptional, I think, in a lot of these games that matter. And you look at, again, through the SEC, just like Acuff, his numbers have gone up, not down, relative to the non-conference. When you played 6 quad 4 opponents by games and you expect your stars to produce, his numbers are going up, so are Acuff's, and that says a lot about these true freshmen. They're getting better.
Is it too early? You say with his numbers improving, then is it too early to? I'm sure all these guys want to test the NBA waters, and we all know Darius Acuff won't be here much longer. What are you sensing from Malik Thomas's status?
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of the deepest draft classes ever. It is loaded. The 2025 high school class, Acuff and Malik, we all knew it was great. And then that class has gone out and proven it through the season of college basketball. They're putting up insane numbers, multiple freshmen with 40-plus point games. It's not just Acuff. Several of them, consistently getting in the 30s. And then you see a guy like Malik Thomas, who in any other draft would be a no-brainer, 18 to 30 projection, mid to late first round. I think in this draft, he's probably a ceiling of a late first round, maybe early second round. And all it takes is one or two teams to disagree with that and say, we're going to take you even better than that in the first round. But I do think he's a guy that, based on what I think, once you get out of the season and he should test the waters, go to the combine, do whatever he's got to do to get all that feedback. at the end of the day, I think when that happens, he's only going to help himself. It's only going to improve on what he has put on a resume during the season. And I think he's a guy that I would say more than likely test the waters and then stays in. Now, I reserve the right to reflect back on that and alter that projection based on what happens next. We've still got some more season to go, and then everything that comes after that when these guys test the waters.
Absolutely. Yeah, still early, so just something to tuck away for later once all the basketball has been played. All right, we'll take a quick break here. You've been watching Hog Hoops Report with Kevin McPherson. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Hog Hoops Report. Hayden Herrera alongside Kevin McPherson. Kevin, we've been dissecting this Arkansas versus Missouri game that happened on Saturday with Arkansas winning 94-86. John Calipari using a 7-man rotation. Karter Knox, we got the news on late Thursday that he had undergone a procedure, so he's out for the foreseeable future. How do you see this 7-man rotation kind of holding up? Do you see possible time with Sealy as that 8th once he is kind of back to 100%, or is this 7-man rotation kind of what the Hogs are left with for now?
Well, Arkansas was able to use Sealy when they were down to a 6-man rotation to get to 7 on the road, back-to-back road games, Mississippi State, and that was followed up with LSU. I think the difference was, those teams weren't as good as what Arkansas has in front of it. And Sealy, before that, really had only played 9 total minutes in 9 SEC games prior to that. But he did show well. I think with all hands on deck, he's a guy that you may not have planned for a certain minutes in the rotation, but based on foul trouble, whatever comes across, he's a guy that you could use that's not going to, that you hope's not going to hurt you and do more good, which was the case in the 2 games that he appeared in. So yes, if he's available physically, I do think he can help you feel good that you could go to 8 as needed. Would Calipari strategically plan a role for him with a set amount of minutes like he typically has for his top rotation, and then you make adjustments to that plan based on who's playing well, foul trouble, those things? That's different than he's there if you need him. That's a different scenario. So I'm not sure which one of those kicks in once he's 100%. He did sit out the Bama game. I recorded him taking pregame warm-up shots against Missouri. I'm not sure where things stood in terms of why he didn't play, other than that game was so tight. It was very, very physical. And it might have just been a decision, as good as your wing play from Billy Richmond was, and as well as DJ Wagner, who we didn't talk about. He actually played well in this game. Back-to-back games, he had his good moments against Bama as well. I think some of that, and then Ewin, coming off the bench, of course, different positionally, but still, you had all 7 that first got on the court all helping. And so I think maybe Calipari realized I don't necessarily need to throw something else in the mix here when I got 7 that are operating well together. So if Arkansas's top 7 can play as well as they did, to answer your question, a long way around it, played as well as they did against Missouri, not that you can count on that, but if they continue to do that, then you've got Isaiah Sealy in reserve and ready to go if you need him. So we'll see how Calipari approaches this. He's got to be encouraged what he saw yesterday, but every game is an island to itself, and you keep moving forward. Again, this is a brutal upcoming stretch. It started with Bama. Even Auburn beat Arkansas by 22 the first time those teams played. So if you want to package this up as the final 7 games of SEC play, Arkansas's gotten 2 of those at home, beaten both of those opponents, Auburn and Missouri, had its chances to beat Alabama. And I really think after watching the replay of that game, the Zeebs putting Bama at the line nearly twice as many times as Arkansas in that game was what was the undoing for the Razorbacks. Otherwise, Arkansas is on a big winning streak right now with a huge quad 1 road win. It didn't shake out that way, but Arkansas's got big business ahead. Good thing they didn't lick their wounds and have their heads down on Saturday because of how tough that Bama result was.
Yeah, and an instant classic. Just so many memorable moments from that game. Unfortunately for Razorbacks fans, did not end in a victory. All right, we've got 4 games left in the SEC regular season. This is the penultimate week, and it starts with an 8 p.m. home game Wednesday against Texas A&M. Texas A&M 9-5 in the SEC standings, so a game back of Arkansas. They've won 2 straight. They were kind of leading the SEC for a little bit at the start of SEC play, but now, as of lately, it has been Florida who Arkansas will go to Gainesville for this weekend. A Gators team, a defending national champs. They've won 7 straight. Of course, there's the Boogie Flan storyline, but Texas A&M at home, Florida on the road. Kevin, just another intriguing week in the SEC for the Hogs.
Yeah, A&M's been on a roller coaster in league play. Started out with just 1 loss after several games and led the league, and then hit some rough patches in there. And now they're surging again. Perfect timing to come to Fayetteville, Arkansas. Every game, every opponent. I mean, this is a game, you mentioned it. If A&M, they only play once this year. If A&M wins this game, they'll be in a tie with Arkansas record-wise, but hold the head-to-head. Everybody's in this league is jockeying for position to finish in the top 4. The top 4 seeds in the league get a double bye to the SEC tournament quarterfinals. And also, if you in a strong league, if you finish in the top 4, that only means you're also helping your NCAA tournament at-large profile and seeding possibilities. So I think this is, again, one of those games where, Arkansas, this could be one of those that goes down to the wire again, and it's just a battle. A&M under Bucky McMillan, great first season, as head coach for the Aggies. And this is going to be a matchup where there's an interesting roster structure there with some veteran guys that come off the bench. They've got they can beat you inside and out, and so this is going to be a challenge. And then you mentioned Florida. What is Arkansas's weakness? It's frontline physicality, defending around the basket with force and resistance. When Arkansas is able to block shots, it can sometimes offset some of that. But Florida's the best front line in college basketball. It's a deep front line, and they're on their home turf. That is going to be a huge challenge for Trevan Brazil, Malik Euan, and Nick Pringle. And so Arkansas's backcourt obviously is going to have to step up. Boogie Flan and Xavier Lee are better than they were early in the season. It's to be expected. You're going to have some struggles, but they're still not as good as Arkansas's guards, but they're playing on their home court. And Arkansas, if they didn't get the benefit of whistles down in Bama, they never get them in Gainesville. In close games, you get some crazy, weird calls that never go Arkansas's way. So even if Arkansas is close, you can't count on the extras there to keep it clean. So I'm not trying to be preemptive about some negative griping about officials, but it becomes a broken record in this league, and Arkansas is good enough to win both of these games. Obviously, Florida is the biggest challenge, but the first big challenge is A&M. You cannot be looking ahead if you're the Razorbacks. You know how tough these opponents are. You've seen it firsthand the last 3 games because Arkansas played, had some blowout wins on the road, but again, they were playing the bottom feeders. Now it's grind every game out. And even in a high-scoring game, we saw it yesterday, you still have to grind out possessions defensively and sometimes offensively to get over the finish line, even in a high-octane offense that Arkansas has. Sometimes it's just a matter of finding a way to get to the foul line and making sure you knock down free throws. Arkansas 22 of 25 yesterday, 16 of 19 against Bama. They're getting, they're up and down there, but winning some of these games may require Arkansas as simple as be solid at the foul line late. But everything ahead of Arkansas is tough business, tough sledding, and you're playing teams that are every team you're playing is trying to be a 4 seed and has a chance to be a top 4 seed for the SEC tournament. That's what the rest of the field looks like. And so in Arkansas's case, if you're to somehow beat A&M and then you go into Florida and win that game, you're no worse than a game back with a couple more to go. And Florida still has to play at Kentucky at the end of the season. Kentucky's, lost a couple of games in a row and 1 point to Auburn and stayed within 10 against Florida in the previous game on the road. This is not over for Arkansas either. So as much as I'm getting everyone prepared for what's coming at Arkansas, there's still plenty on the table for the Razorbacks if they can find wins as they move forward.
Yeah, it ain't over till it's over. 8 o'clock on the 25th, Wednesday against Texas A&M. That one's on ESPN2. And then Saturday, a 7:30 matchup in Gainesville on ESPN. So one battle after another. Not just a great movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. It's the name of the Arkansas's last 4 games of the season. All right, Kevin, this has been great. This is another edition of the Hog Hoops Report. For Kevin McPherson, I'm Hayden Herrera. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.